If you aren't afraid of anything, or so you claim, then practicing an extreme sport is probably not a challenge for you. After all, what's the worst that could happen? Well, actually, you might break a bone, some ribs, dislocate your shoulders, break your neck, cause a lot of damage, incur a massive hospital bill. Quite a bit here, actually. Oh, but excuse me, you're not afraid of anything, aren't you? So none of that's gonna faze you. Though even you would have to admit that the risks are many and numerous. But I guess this is what makes it fun, am I right? With that said, today we're going to be looking at the most extreme and scariest attractions in the world. Our first entry is canoeing and kayaking. This water sport is quite popular around the world. With the help of some paddles and your strength, you can move your boat down the stream of a river. Sounds pretty simple and easy, right? Well, of course, even the calmest and least threatening sport can turn into a disaster. Throughout history, many people have injured their shoulders and wrists while practicing canoeing or kayaking. These injuries are mostly caused by the overuse of these parts of the body, and also because of the muscular force required to move the paddles. One of the most dangerous places for kayaking is the Okakie River in Tennessee. With its massive descents and drops, it's been the scenario of many accidents, and some of them have even led to people's deaths. Our next entry is abseiling. Abseiling, which is also known as rappelling, is considered an extreme recreational activity that involves ascending with the help of a rope. You can practice it by going down a mountain, a cliff, or a man-made structure. According to history, abseiling was first practiced in 1879 in the Alps when people were exploring its high peaks. It gained a lot of popularity after that, and today people practice mostly for fun. This activity should be safe, but there's been some accidents due to faulty equipment. I'm sure no one would like to be stuck hanging from a cliff while doing it. And unlike Wile E. Coyote, if you fall from that cliff, you probably ain't coming back up there. That's why it's important to always check your equipment before starting your descent. And also make sure you keep track of how many times your rope has been used. It's the worn-out equipment that breaks out easily and causes terrible accidents. Our next entry is one you've probably seen all over YouTube: parkour. A lot of you know about this practice because there are tons of videos on YouTube about people who do parkour, whether it's actual parkour or people jumping over a ledge and then screaming parkour. However, the original name of this practice is art du déplacement, or free running, and it started in France back in the 1980s by 9 very brave Frenchmen. Now, this is not a competitive sport. All you gotta do is move freely over any terrain by using your body's abilities. That includes running, jumping, and climbing, but you're also not allowed to use any equipment if you want to be considered a parkour expert. And you just have to watch a couple of videos to see how parkour can easily be dangerous. In the past, a lot of people have died while trying to jump from roof to roof and by trying other stunts that put their lives at risk. Some people are opposed to this practice as they claim that it encourages trespassing and property damage. Granted, when you're actually not doing any trespassing or hurting anybody, it does look like a lot of fun. But I'd encourage you to only try it if you know what you're doing. Our next entry is bungee jumping. Head-first jumping from a tall structure sounds like the kind of experience you'd want to avoid, but that's exactly what bungee jumping is, and people often pay to do it. But why do people do it? Well, because it's fun according to them, and they want to test their limits. The first time someone did it was back in 1979. Since then it became a popular thing among those people who like to take risks. Luckily, you don't have to go far to try it, as this is something available in almost every country around the world. But keep in mind that in some places it can be more dangerous than in others. Between 1986 and 2002, there were 18 recorded deaths. And there were other 5 bungee jumping fatalities that were documented between 2015 and 2018. The numbers certainly have decreased, but it's still a risky activity. But the current chances of dying while doing it are now 1 in 500,000. So I guess you could say it's safer now? Go ahead, flip that coin. Our next entry is tow-in surfing. Surfing is a great way to experience the ocean, but some waves move so fast that you might require special assistance to ride them. And that's how tow-in surfing came to be. Through this technique, you can reach these fast waves that would be unreachable if you only use your hands to paddle to them. This type of surfing was invented by people who wanted to ride waves that are higher than 30 feet. However, if you're not properly trained, you could easily get hit by these waves. And according to some people, getting hit by big waves is like getting hit by a freight train. Sounds pretty deadly. And well, surfing in some spots can also be dangerous, whether you do tow-in or regular. The most dangerous surfing spot in the entire world is the north shore of Oahu in Hawaii, which is a deadly wave that breaks in shallow water near a reef and has claimed 7 lives since the 1980s. Our next entry is skydiving. You know, this list wouldn't be complete without skydiving, because we all know that jumping from an airplane can be dangerous. But then again, if you have the guts to do it, then why not? One way or another, it's gonna be a life-changing experience, whether that parachute opens or not. You can do it solo, as part of a group, or in a hybrid formation. The United States Parachute Association claims that at least 13 lives were lost in 2018 due to parachute incidents alone. However, this is a small number compared to the 3.3 million who practiced this activity in that year. But still, no one would like to be part of that number of people who didn't survive to tell their story. Our next entry is whitewater rafting. You think canoeing and kayaking can be dangerous, then just you wait till you try whitewater rafting. As opposed to going down a regular stream, whitewater rafting requires you to go on an inflatable boat while traveling across rough waters. What makes this so interesting, though, is that it requires a lot of teamwork and taking risks along the way. In some parts of the world, it's practiced as a competitive sport, and they even have international championships for it. By far the most challenging and adventurous whitewater rafting spot in the world is the one in the Futiliafu River in Chile, which is also called Terminator. Our next entry is heli-skiing. Kinda like how tow windsurfing requires some assistance to get you to fast-moving waves, heli-skiing requires a helicopter to get you to spots where you can practice off-trail skiing and snowboarding. Given the fact that it's far from your regular skiing or snowboarding spot, you can count on the fact that heli-skiing is very dangerous. In fact, it's so dangerous that it's now banned in France and Germany. But you can still practice it in 2 different spots in Austria and some parts of Alaska and Canada. Now, if you live in a snowy area and if you have access to a helicopter, then I guess you can practice it anywhere you want. Just remember though, it's hard to stay safe when you're practicing extreme sports without supervision. So I just hope you know what you're doing and don't try to recreate something you saw in a video game. Never goes well. Our next entry is the street luge. What do you get when you mix skateboarding, sledding, and a lot of bravery? You get street luge, one of the most popular extreme sports among people who love challenges. All you really need is a wheeled sled to be able to move along paved roads at speeds as high as 96 kilometers per hour. If you've watched the Winter Olympics, then you'll probably compare this sled to the ones they use over there. However, the ones used for street luge have wheels instead of runners. What makes street luge so dangerous is the fact that your body is pretty much resting against the ground as you go through bumps and turns along the road. Our next entry is free solo climbing. Climbing is indeed a challenging activity, but it doesn't feel that dangerous if you're using ropes to help you move. Now, free solo climbing, on the other hand, or free soloing, is an entirely different, more dangerous story. This one implies that you'll climb ice or rock without the help of any equipment whatsoever. Would you dare to do it? Well, it goes without saying that this sport requires a lot of skill and strength. Since free soloing is quite difficult, the people who have dared to do it have become stars within the general climbing world. The term free solo was originally slang used among climbers, but it became a dictionary word after it gained popularity through the film Free Solo. Now it's time for the day's best pick. The picture I chose for the day shows a guy riding a board down a volcano. Sure, yeah, looks fun, but probably real dangerous. Either way, let's check it out with volcano surfing. Who said surfing was a thing that you could only do in the ocean? In the last couple of years, volcano surfing has become a thing that you can practice in different countries around the world. The most popular spot is Cerro Negro in Nicaragua, which is a known destination for adventurers who want a thrilling experience in this setting. All you need is a volcano slope and a piece of plywood or a metal board. Other popular places are Mount Bromo in Indonesia and Mount Yasur in Vanuatu. And just like all the sports on this list, volcano surfing also involves a few risks that include falling off and getting cut by volcanic ash, breathing poisonous gases from the volcano, and getting caver's disease. Or, you could also, just lightly get hit by molten lava, maybe melt, catch on fire, the fun stuff. I guess that's why you can't simply do it in any volcano you want, as some of them might be too toxic or threatening to your life. Some people would say that Cerro Negro is dangerous, but its last eruption was in 1999. On the other hand, Mount Yasur in Vanuatu has volcanic eruptions every year. Either way, you should always wear protective gear, as you never know what could happen while practicing this cool sport. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Our last entry is base jumping. At the top of the list we have an activity that is so dangerous that it's actually illegal in some parts of the world. The word base stands for the four things that people jump from: building, antennas, spans, and earth. A simple mistake can lead to death, so every jump needs to be carefully planned. Base jumping started in 1978 when a group of filmmakers documented the first jump at, oh, you know, El Capitan at Yosemite National Park. It became a movie stunt, but soon enough it also became a recreational activity. There are low base jumps, high base jumps, and tandem base jumps, which by the way are the most accepted and legal in the US. This is because they require you to do it while you're attached to an expert. The lowest base jump was set by Felix Baumgartner as he jumped from the Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. On the other hand, the biggest jump was recorded by Karo Bonish as he jumped from the Troll Wall in Norway, which is the same country where he died 2 days after his success. And sadly, he died while base jumping from a pinnacle called Stabin. Oddly specific. I hope this video didn't scare you. In fact, I do hope it encouraged you to try new things, even if they're not as extreme as most of the activities I mentioned in this video. With that being said, I'd like to ask, which one of these activities would you like to try as soon as possible, and which one of them would you like to stay away from? Either way, that's our video for today, folks, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody.